Hello, welcome to our capstone presentation. Our project Clickr is a cross-platform keyboard remapping system focused on ease of use. Quick introduction to the team. I'm Tim. I worked on the macOS implementation, the keyboard remapping backend, and the CLI.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I worked on a lot of the logic behind the Electron app, as well as the Linux implementation.
Hi, my name is Bodhi. I spent most of my time working on the UI and the UX as well as the database design.
Hi, my name is Hayden. I worked on the Linux implementation as well as our taskbar GUI.
Hi, my name is Luke, and I worked on the Windows implementation and also the visual keyboarder.
Quick introduction of our project. So the purpose of a software-based keyboard remapping system is to allow you to customize the behavior of your keyboard in a hardware and operating system independent way. So a lot of existing solutions require special keyboards, which then flash custom firmware. But a lot of times it's inaccessible for people, especially if you're on a laptop. And also a lot of other solutions require you to be on a specific operating system. So with our solution, we wanted a powerful remapping system, which allowed you to customize your layout, improve your ergonomics, create shortcuts and custom layers in a cross-platform way that you could easily take between all your different computers. Looking at some of the features, starting with our core features, we have basic key remapping. This allows you to, swap your keys and redefine what keys have what behavior. We also have keyboard layers. Keyboard layers allow you to define different behaviors in one profile that can be easily switched between. So you can have a good way to think about this is how the shift key works. So your shift key, when you're holding it down, your keys are different, right? You generally type uppercase letters, and can be thought of as a layer, right? When you're holding shift, your keys act differently. So you can define custom layers. For example, you can have when you're holding down tab, you could have that open application. So you could say tab A opens Chrome. We also have cross-platform support, which is really important because when you create these profiles, you kind of retrain yourself on how to type. And if you all of a sudden switch to another computer that no longer supports these custom remappings, then you are often making a lot of typing mistakes and can really harm your productivity. Sort of in conjunction, we have cloud storage of profiles. This allows you to easily share your profiles between your devices. And we also have scripting functionality, which allows advanced users to run scripts on things like key presses. Moving to our rank 3, we have a CLI interface for advanced users. We also have support for media keys, a visual keyboard, which allows you to define your profiles visually, a training game, which allows you to learn your new profile in an easy and fun way, and an insights page, which will automatically give you recommendations for your keyboard.
Moving on to the demonstration, I'm going to open up my browser. Then we're going to go to keyclicker.com. As you can see, we're already logged in and it's sort of cached, but I can log out real quick. Log back in. Go into the About page, we sort of have this where you have a project overview and we have some architecture and technologies to sort of describe what's going on here. We also have this tutorial page that goes step by step, sort of what you need to do in order to get set up. Then we also have a CLI page that sort of has some documentation behind our CLI download and also shows some example. Going over to the community, we have our profiles where we have tags and you can upload and share your profiles. Moving on to the app, I'll go ahead and open it up. So you can just type Clickr and I'll bring this up. So as you can see, we're on our mappings page and we have the demo active. Moving over, this is the same community page. We also have this insight page that sort of shows us a representation of this sort of heat map of keys we've pressed. So if we press a key a lot, it'll show that. It also recommends sort of swapping keys to make your keyboard more efficient. Moving back to mappings, we're going to go ahead and edit this demo. So we can remove this binding and then add a new one. So we can go in here and we can add a new shortcut. And we're just going to do a print screen, right? So we're going to go back out and this is going to save. Now if I bring up my on-screen keyboard with tab, which is also something we mapped here. We also mapped this key over to the website browser. And then we also mapped our numbers. So if I press 1, we're going to get 9 instead. I mapped 2 over to cut. So if I do that, we're going to cut. And then 3 is on paste. So if I do this, we can paste. Number 4 is going to switch our layers. So if we pay attention to this bottom right, we're going to sort of see whatever layer we've moved on to. So if I click this, we're going to go on the special layer. And then going back, we can go back to this default layer. So if I go over to the special layer, I have 5 set over to do 90. So every time I click 5, I'm going to get 90. And if I go back over to the default layer, it's going to go back to just doing 5. And then we also map 6 to print key. So if I do this, I'm going to get this print screen up. And then we can also go and show off another profile. So if I click this, and then if we switch over to this numpad profile, this is sort of a profile I'll show you real quick. We have 2 layers. We have this one that just says if we double tap Q, we're going to switch over to the second layer. And on the second layer, we have all these keys sort of set up as a numpad. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to double tap Q. You can see our layer swapped over to layer 2, and I can double tap to go back. So we're going to go in, and we sort of have a numpad over here where all these keys sort of work as a numpad. Then I can go back, and then all these keys are going to go and work like normal. That's about it for the demonstration. Thanks.
Moving on to the tech stack that we use for this project. As Luke mentioned, we kind of split this into 3 main parts. We have the website. So this is sort of the landing page and allows users to interact with our application without downloading or getting too involved. They get to see, hey, what is the community doing? What are people doing with this software? They can log in, they can make profiles, and sort of say, hey, do I want to get involved in this world of remapping? This website communicates with our Django backend server, and this server hosts all the keybinds, all the mappings people publish, different login information, as well as anything related to the cloud. So it allows us to sync stuff across the different platforms. And then moving on, the main application that Luke also demoed is written in React and Electron. So this allows us to have a desktop application that can interface with the system. The website is unable to do that. That's why we have a downloadable application. And this has to be compiled separately for every single operating system. So as on the website, there's a download button, but this will automatically detect what platform you're on to give you the right version. And this is unique because this has to be multi-platform because we have a keybinder that is unique for each OS. This intercepts the keys for each platform and sends the correct key or the script or whatever you've remapped it to. So this is really the core logic of our application. And then moving on to sort of our software practices for this project, we set up a GitHub Actions pipeline to really just to support our developer experience. Because we had 3 operating systems, we ended up using GitHub Actions as they have separate runners for each OS. And this allowed us to basically make a push on the keybinder, and then within 5 or 10 minutes, this pipeline would compile all the code for each operating system. We could see if we broke it, and if it didn't, it would then push it to the website in which a user could download it. So a lot of a really seamless flow from working on the project to compiling it to pushing it. We had 913 commits across 3 repos. We spent a lot of time sort of separating these across multiple repos and making sure things were clean. We completed 273 tickets. I know Luke and Ryan spent a lot of time working on unit tests, so we have a clean coverage of our code. And we have 22 API endpoints. This allows us to interface with our database as well as supply users up-to-date information with what's going on in the community and different website metrics. And then finally, we used advanced JSON web tokens for the auth flow. This allowed users to log in once. As you can see, when Luke opened the application, he was already logged in. So this allows users to log in once every 30 days and sort of have a very seamless experience that way. And finally, talking about our user studies, we talked to, I think, about 12 people, and really we gave them our application and say, hey, give us some feedback on what's good and what's bad. So we talked with them, and most of them were very confused when we first made this. And so we talked to them, and they were like, hey, we don't really understand what is a layer, what is a mapping. And so we made this help page in the application as well as a help page and tutorial on the website that really allowed users to more so understand what our project does. Sort of talking about what is Clickr, why you want to use it, and sort of what each part does. So talking about, hey, a layer is like basically 2 different keyboards, and a trigger is when you press a key, and sort of adding this help and this sort of flow in our application really allowed users to sort of better understand and actually create profiles. We also made a visual keyboard that Luke showed off to sort of make a really visual, pretty way of creating these mappings.